name is Kyle Ye. I'm a high school teacher. I teach math and computer science here at Coronado High School, and this is the start of my 7th full year of teaching.
So how did you first become interested in this career?
When I went to college, I actually said, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I'm not going to go into education. So it wasn't at the start of college, but I've coached some soccer growing up, helped out with some youth teams. And then after my freshman and sophomore years of college, I worked as a camp counselor at a summer camp, which was just a blast and made me really realize that I do want to work with youth, I do want to work with lots of people. And so I was studying computer science at the time and loving it, and I continued with that path. But I decided to add education on as a possibility for if I got out of college and decided I really wanted to pursue that route, I would have that option, and it's been an awesome decision. I've really enjoyed my time here. So in college, I picked up education classes my junior year and learned some theoretical stuff in the classroom, different pedagogy and educational theory and such, but the best training by far was just observations in the classroom, student teaching, spending all the time in the classroom. On my experience, what I learned in my college classes was great, was beneficial, but there's nothing to prepare you like actually being there, actually being in the classroom. And so that was the biggest one to kind of get started. And teachers every summer, during the school year, we go to trainings, we go to various professional development to help us either adjust to new things coming down the pipeline or refine what we're already doing and hopefully make us that much more effective in the classroom. It's definitely a career that requires a lot of kind of social interaction. So not that you have to be an extrovert, but you have to be comfortable with that. Comfortable with talking to kids, talking to parents, talking to other teachers, talking to counselors, administrators. So there's a lot of communication that goes into it. Every teacher has their own style and personality, right? And so some are very high energy, some are a little bit calmer. It's not one size fits all, but I think it's definitely beneficial if, no matter your personality, if you can be really intentional in relating to kids and building that relationship. I'm a math teacher, but it's definitely not all about math or computer science. It's about forming that relationship and helping the students grow and not only learn the content matter, but also kind of learn life skills, learn how to fight through challenges and persevere through things you don't know. And that's one of the most rewarding parts of this career. So starting salary for educators is not the highest, well documented, but it depends a lot on what part of the country, what region, or what country that you're teaching in. Here in Colorado, the starting salary in a lot of school districts is right around, I would say, mid 30,000s to low 40,000s, and it depends on your education level, if you have a master's in your subject area, how many years you've been teaching. So if you taught somewhere else and then come here, sometimes you can get credit for those years. But just starting out, if you have no teaching experience, probably in those high 30s to low 40s. And as far as potential for growth, there is a pay increase in most districts, including the one I work for. Every year of experience you have, you get a little bit of a bump, and then also you can earn pay raises by going to certain trainings and accruing grad credits that can be applied and then turned in once you've accrued so many of them for a pay increase. Yeah, so the official work day right now for me starts at 7:20 a.m., lasts until 3:20 p.m. Most days, it's teaching kids for most of the day, couple planned periods where you get to collaborate with other teachers who are teaching the same material you are, or talking to other educators, maybe in other departments, about what's working well for you, what's not, especially in this time and age where a lot of remote learning is happening, trying to bounce ideas off each other and figure out the best tools for that. It's a lot of hours. They say 7:20 to 3:20 is what's in the contract, but that doesn't always include time for grading or communicating with students or parents. And so it's a lot of hours a week. And I think that's one thing, if you're looking at this career, that you should kind of accept and make sure you're okay with is you're going to be working at home. You're going to be working at weekends. That being said, it's not an overwhelming amount, I don't think. It is doable, but with teaching in a school the size that I do, there are a lot of us, and so two teachers who are teaching the same class can kind of trade off creating tests and lessen the workload a little bit. So there are ways to collaborate and make it more manageable, but it is a lot of hours. Yeah, for sure. So I typically try to arrive at school at 7 a.m. And for this discussion, I'll talk about when students are in school. Right now, obviously, remote learning is a little different. But if you are on what I'll say, a traditional schooling schedule where you go to every class every day, then that's been the last 6 years for me. And so come to school, there's 7 class periods a day, typically teach 5 of them. During planned periods, trying to get caught up a little bit on grading or tutoring kids one-on-one, helping out, taking care of some of those miscellaneous items. And so on those days, it's 53-minute classes here and just kind of rapid fire teaching, and it's a good time. It's definitely a lot of change with students coming in, students coming out, but that's also one of the things that makes the job fun and never boring, is that every day is different. I mean, the students that you teach, they're having good days, they're having bad days. Sometimes you switch up your lesson halfway through just to kind of reach the kids a little bit better, and so it makes it a lot of fun. So in a traditional schedule, 7 class periods, 53 minutes each, bell rings around 3 p.m., and then trying to use the time after school to again finish up what I didn't finish up during the day, as far as preparing lessons for the next day, or grading assessments, grading homework, giving feedback, communicating, all those things. On a block schedule, which a lot of schools have, it's typically somewhere around 4 classes a day and 90 minutes, give or take, for each class. So you get that longer class period, but fewer classes. You only see your students maybe once every 2 days. They go to 4 classes on Mondays, and then a different 4 classes on Tuesdays, something like that. So a lot of interaction with students, and you kind of got to be up for it and get a good night's sleep beforehand, that's for sure. So benefits, and I can say this 100% truthfully, I love my job. I love coming to school. I love interacting with teenagers who are starting to think about the next steps of their lives and what they might want to do or interests they might want to follow, and that's what high school should be, and that's why I love high school, is it gives them the chance to maybe take a class in something they may or may not be interested in. If they love it, great, they learned they love it and want to continue, and if they hate it, then that's also great, because now they're not going to go down that path and waste time later on in life or waste money going to college for that career. But the benefits really are just, the biggest benefit I would say is forming those relationships. I love it when keeping in contact with students after they've graduated, and either seeing them around town or communicating online about how things are going, whether that's college, whether that's trade school, whether they just went straight into the workplace. And that's the biggest benefit, is really a sense of purpose, and it's really rewarding to be able to assist students in that part of the journey. I had some amazing educators in my high school career who were a big part of that for me, and so I'm thankful I'm able to give back. Some of those educators are now my coworkers, and so it's a weird feeling, but it's a full circle, and it's a really neat one. Challenges, it is exhausting. It is very exhausting, and so when you're coming into a career, and I think this is true for any career, you want to make sure you love it. You want to make sure that you're willing to give a lot of your time and a lot of your heart to that career, because there are some weeks, busy weeks, when I get here at 7 a.m. and I don't leave until 8 or 9, and that's just the reality of it. And then there are easier weeks, obviously, but being able to kind of see that impact and not have it hidden, but again, have those relationships and see it pay off years down the road, really makes it worth it to me. So teaching is kind of unique in that way, because a lot of teachers obviously have families where one of the perks that sometimes teachers get derided for and teachers try to deny, don't ever let anyone tell you it's not true. Having summers off is really nice. especially if you have a family. You don't have to worry about taking time off in the summer from work to go on a vacation or to spend time with your kids and things like that. Same type of thing where you get holidays off potentially, and so you can really spend a lot of time with kids. Many of my coworkers have multiple children and are able to really take advantage of those breaks and have some amazing family experiences the whole way. It is, I mean, the hours I talked about before that you have to put in, that does make it a little tricky sometimes. Work-life balance, something I'm still trying to figure out for sure, can get in the way a little bit of that family life. But it's definitely doable. It's definitely something that, again, if you think back to your high school career, your middle school career, many of your teachers had families and they had kids and they absolutely made it work. So it's a lot of hours, but many of those hours can be spent at home. You can do them maybe at night when kids are asleep, or on a day you're not hanging out with your spouse or your partner. And so it's trying to find that balance, and I think that's true in any occupation. It's always unpredictable, for better or for worse, in the classroom, and so just knowing that every day is an adventure where sometimes connections with students, they bring you in a piece of artwork and it's amazing, and you say, wow, that's incredible, and they say, well, this is for you. And so I mean, that really touches you. Or when they invite you to a concert, or you go and see their sports game or something like that, and really forming those relationships. Again, I was fortunate enough to have some of those relationships during my high school career that really impacted me, and so trying to give back in that way. But it's always fun. Kids are fun. They're always looking for something maybe a little bit different in the classroom. And so one year I had a student pull out this 3-month-long prank, just rearranging decorations in my classroom, and driving another classmate crazy, saying, something's changed, and we would just play it off like nothing's changed. Other times, students are having a bad day, and that happens to all of us, and rough ones, and trying to talk to them and hear what's going on in their life as much as they want to share, and hopefully be an outlet for them to listen and to be able to improve upon the situation, or just hear them out and let them vent about it a little bit. So going back to an earlier question, the social aspect is important, for better or for worse, but that's the thing that makes the job in my opinion. It's a fun question, especially in the midst of COVID times. The pendulum kind of swings in education a lot, where at certain times in our fairly recent history, there's been a lot of emphasis on you have to go to college. You have to go and get a college degree, and that's what'll kind of set you up for a successful life thereafter. And then the pendulum will swing back and say the workforce. I mean, if you go to trade school, awesome. If you enter the workforce directly, awesome, even better. And so there's definitely different lines of thinking with education. Now, in our current situation, a lot of people are rethinking, do we have to be in classrooms all the time? Can we do it remotely? Can we do it online? Which, again, is not unique to education, but these types of changes do reinvent the career a little bit, because trying to figure out how to communicate effectively with students who are at home and they're not in person, it's a little bit harder to read the room. And when new curriculum comes down the line, or new state requirements come down the line, there are always kind of minor tweaks and some major ones to education, as I've experienced in my relatively short career, only 6 years so far, this being year 7. But I think that the field of education and the spirit behind it, which is helping to prepare students of 14 to 18 years old, we'll say, for those next steps, to be a good contributing and thoughtful and respectful member of society, that will never change, no matter if we're online, no matter if we're in the classroom. And so many of those core fundamentals will stay the same no matter what the situation is. Yeah, so if you're interested in pursuing education, I mentioned this earlier, but being able to get in the classroom is so important, not only for your own experience, but also to let you know sometimes you think you're going to love something. And then you get in a classroom and you decide maybe that's not for me. That's happened to some students that I've had who thought they were going into education, decided not to. Other ones who are kind of reluctant, and I say, give it a go. Just come, job shadow a teacher for a day just to see what it's like. They say that was actually amazing. That was incredible. So getting on site, getting in a classroom, and then, once you find out that you love it, just go for it. And you got to throw yourself in. You can't be afraid of looking silly or messing up, anything like that. Kids get it. They're very, very understanding of that, we'll say. And so when you mess up in the classroom, it is what it is. If you feel like you need to dress completely professionally and you forget to do that one day, they won't care. It's just about your presence in the classroom, forming those bonds. And it is just an amazing, rewarding career that takes a lot of time and effort. So don't think that, I want to be a teacher because I want to just have summers off. You got to be willing to put in that work, and there are perks that go along with it though. So it's an amazing career, and if you are interested, wish you the best of luck. Hopefully you can get into a classroom sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
You're welcome.